think I exist. Hi. Hello, everybody. Ugh. All right. Hello, everybody. I am your favorite nonsense streamer, Stream Crush, nonsensing my way to a bunch of nonsense and shenanigans and all kinds of hootenanny. All right. So we're trying a different tack today. I've trying to get my setup a little better. I seem to be having a problem with this. So I updated some drivers. That's kind of what I was starting to do, and then the stream got a little late because of it. I'm hoping that kind of smooths out some of the weird issues I was having. I do not know why, but VTube Studio is like dead set on me. Here, let me fix my camera a little bit here. All right. Hopefully that's a little better. Well, now I look like I'm looking the other way aggressively. All right, we'll try that. See if that works a little better. Yeah, okay. This is me looking at the camera. This is me looking at my other computer screen. I think we're going to do okay with this. Somehow we will make this work. We'll channel a little John VTuber here today, and we will just make all this work just fine. All right, anyways, so back to what I was saying. Yeah, we were, we as in me and this imaginary person that's hanging out with me in my room. Anyway, getting streaming stuff kind of better, sort of. I don't know. All right, let's give you guys an update on what's been going on. So last Friday is when I finished up Luto. And then I was like, hey, yo, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take a break for a couple of days and work on my stream. Yeah, that did not happen at all. At all. Did not happen. Instead, what I ended up doing was, let's see, Saturday, went to bed early after work and got up and went back to work. And then Sunday, I found a really good manga and I basically read it for like 5 hours and then I went to bed. Sunday or Monday, I got really sucked into Diablo 4 again. So they got this dumb patch in Diablo 4, which, hold on a sec, rub my eyes here. I'm tired. So they got this dumb patch in Diablo 4 now, hotfix thing for mythics and drops and all that. Honestly, this season of Diablo 4 has been kind of a, yeah, it's kind of sucked. There's really nothing good about it. The interesting thing this season is basically you can make as many mythics as you want out of mythic stuff, which is kind of cool. So you can take a unique item and turn it into a mythic. Super awesome idea. Except it has had a lot of issues and there's just a lot of bugs this season and it's just really disappointing. You know, Blizzard came back with a vengeance with the campaign, you know, the new expansion. The new classes were awesome, Paladin and Warlock, and then it's like they just turned around and went, fuck all that shit. And like now it's like, yeah, this patch has been riddled with bugs and problems and weird nerfs, and like some classes are still just weirdly broken or just overpowered, and other classes are struggling, and it just, or maybe not struggling is the word, but like you definitely feel like you would be a lot better use of your time investing into another class this season than like the ones you like. It's just so weird. So I don't really know, like, you never really know what goes on behind the scenes at development studios. Sometimes you do, they tell you everything, but like in this particular instance, I'm not really sure if they actually know what they're doing sometimes. Like as an example, they have to know, like they play these games, right? So like they have to, I mean, you play your own game. So like you would have to know that, like, let's say you're playing like the Barbarian, like how ridiculously overpowered it is right now. Like Barbarians just basically go, brah, 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 and then like just whirlwind and tornado spam everything to death. And like, I know there's, you got to gear up for the build. Like that's every class, right? But like, it is insane. It's Spiritborn launch levels of like absolute zaniness. And then you have other classes like the Paladin, which did really great until the expansion launched. And then all of a sudden it was like, not so much, because then they added a bunch of nerfs and stuff. But then like Warlock's like the new hotness, kind of, but not really some builds. And then now you're looking at the PTR for season 15 and probably actually they're going to be absolutely insane. And then you have classes like my favorite class in Diablo 4 is the Necromancer. The Necromancer has had it the roughest, man. Like I know druids have had some ups and downs and stuff, but like the Necromancer is like the problem with Necromancer in Diablo 4 is multifaceted, but like there is really only a handful of builds that ever really work for Necro, and then everything else either is absolutely broken for the wrong reasons or absolutely broken for the right reasons, but still broken, and then it has to be fixed. And there's a lot of like say you're doing the minion stuff, there's a lot of like weird interactions, you know, that minions can cause. And of course you're relying on AI of your summons that can always go horribly wrong. But it's like, hey, do you like Blood Wave? We got Blood Wave for you. Hey, do you like Blood Surge? Great. Enjoy that for a little bit, and then we're never going to talk about that again. Hey, do you like Sever? Maybe we'll build for that occasionally. Good luck. You know, it's just, if there is a good build for the Necromancer, it either doesn't exist very long or it's the only fucking build that gets built. And there's just really no other variety. And if you look at the scaling for Necromancers, it's garbage. Like, Necromancers have to spend and invest way more time and effort to get the same results as most other classes. It's just kind of lame. I don't know what, like, are they afraid of like unleashing the potential of the Necromancer? I don't know, man. Like, yeah, obviously if you buff up the numbers and you fix some of the bugs, Necro's gonna be a damn good, crazy, amazing class. Sure, that's every class. So, you know, it's just kind of silly that you make the game. How do you not know these problems? I would just assume that there's just some bugs that they just cannot figure out, and like that's why some of these issues linger. But like, I don't think that's the case. You don't go through these, you know, buff and nerf waves at companies. Like, I'm sorry, like let's assume we're all like, I'm talking to my audience here. You guys are geniuses, super geniuses. I am a super genius. Okay, like I'm just being a little silly here, but like, let's be mature people and talk for just a second. Use basic logic and rationality. These are not difficult problems. These are math equations. Math is not a hard thing. Like, I as somebody who's terrible at math, I'm going to tell you right now, math is not actually that hard. 2 + 2 = 4. That does not change unless you're doing like fucking theoretical levels of physics. But when you're designing a game that is literally spreadsheetable, the only thing that you're actually adjusting for balance is numbers. And numbers aren't hard to figure out. There are literally people who make a career off of this. Every time a patch comes out, these people roll through the numbers and then tell you the best shit to do with the thing you want to do in the game. If you want to make a class, here's the gear, here's the build, here's why all these numbers make sense. Go nuts on your new meta build that you're going to copy off of whatever website or video. That's how that works. So if streamers and content creators and all those types of people can figure this stuff out, you're telling me that the people who program the game can't? No. Buff nerf cycles are almost always going to be intentional, because this is how they keep you playing. They build the friction into the game. Friction is what keeps you playing, because if you got everything you wanted right away, you wouldn't keep playing. You would get bored, because they don't make content fast enough. They hardly make content for games anymore. They give you events to keep you coming back, but they know that they can't build content that keeps you, that makes you want to stay. That's hard. There's only a few, like, realistically speaking here, there's only a few games as a service type games that really manage to stick that landing. Most games as service games rely on the fact that it is what they call seasonal content, which I hate that fucking term. But basically it's every few months, whatever, right? There's a cycle of content. they know that you're going to jump right in because it's the newest thing, and then you're going to either devour it or bounce off of it. But either way, you're not sticking around. And they know this. So they create the hype cycle, which makes you go, oh, there's a new patch. I totally forgot about this thing that I bounced off of 6 months ago. I'll come back and check it out. Bam. Maybe you'll spend some money, maybe not, whatever the case may be. You'll probably check it out, buy a Fortnite bucks, Roblox currency thingy, buy the new armor for overpriced amounts of virtual bullshit that you're not going to actually own, and then you're going to dip. Because that's how it works, right? That's why Diablo gets away with selling fucking $50 skins all the time, because they know that, you know, oh, there's a new Overwatch bundle with the new season that we're advertising because you bounced off of the last season 6 months ago. Well, boom, hey, you know, buy the $50 Overwatch pack, you know, and then don't play the game for 6 more months, and then come back and do it all over again for the World of Warcraft pack or whatever promo gimmick bullshit they have. So yeah, they know that this buff nerf cycle for this stuff is intentional, and they're just going to keep doing that constantly. And it's frustrating as a player because the thing you like has to ride that wave. And sometimes you get lucky and the one thing you like never really seems to get the nerf bat. And other times the thing you like is a goddamn roller coaster of, oh, it's awesome and now it sucks. Oh, it's awesome again and now it sucks. And that like investment, so that cycle creates that like emotional attachment, and you keep coming back even though you're getting abused. You're literally being like, you're a sadist at this point. You just don't want to admit it, or a masochist, whatever the one is where you're like, I don't want to, like, you know, whatever the other side of that is, you know, like you secretly you like this. So, you know, I'm just saying, like, it's frustrating. It's frustrating. And looking at the patch notes for the new season, obviously there's some crap they're announcing at BlizzCon in 2 months, but like, yeah, it's frustrating. So yeah, I just kind of dipped off this season. I'm kind of done with it. I've gotten my fill. To be honest, I found a build for my Warlock that was pretty ridiculous anyway. I'm good. So yeah, but it's just a shame that it's always like this. The next season's gonna be more borrowed power crap. It just, there's no originality in this game. There's none. They don't want to invest those resources, and you can tell. They make a lot of money from it. They don't really put much back into it. That's how it feels. The expansions are great to buy for the expansion, like the initial expansion content, the new class, the campaign and all that's pretty cool. But the seasonal content for Diablo 4 is absolutely garbage. It almost is always never really as fun as it looks. And you just walk away from it going, what did I just spend all that time doing? You know? So that's just my personal take on it. And yeah, it's why I have such a love-hate relationship with the game. I love to play it, I really do, but I always find myself like a few days later going, I don't know why I got so invested in this. I think everybody's like that though, right? To a degree? I don't know. I'm sure that everybody's got their like games as a service that they love playing, you know, whether it's maybe it's Arc Raiders, or I mean, could be Fortnite or whatever, right? Like there's a new patch, there's new content, you haven't played in a little bit because you've been moving on to other stuff. Now they got this new thing that's like, oh, that could be that might change. You know, I mean, I was kind of looking for that. And then you hop in, you play the game for a little bit, and you're like, yeah, this might be my thing. And then like after a while, you start realizing all the little things that like built up in your brain. You're like, oh yeah, this is why I kind of stopped playing. And it's like you forget, like there's this like little like dopamine like hit in your brain that starts wearing off, and you're just like, oh yeah, this is why I don't do this much anymore. Oh. I did the same thing. Like at work, we have these little like they call them My Arcade, but they're like these little pocket handhelds that very obviously have ROMs on them. I guess they used to be worse. They actually had to remove a bunch for copyright reasons, but there's still some on there. Like there's the Chinese version of like Ninja Turtles for like the NES on there and stuff. They're cheap pieces of crap. They're like $9. And like, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to give this another shot. Maybe I wasn't fair on it the first time. Oh no, I was totally fair when I bought it before and I returned it. It was garbage. Actually, the first one that I rebought a couple days ago, the screen didn't even work on it. So I had to grab another one. got that one, and I'm like, wait a minute. And I looked at the boxes. One of the box for the one that had the broken screen didn't have any mention of like a TV out function. Literally just grabbing another one off the shelf, and that one has not only a mention of a TV out function on the box, but it comes with the cords for it. And I'm like, I almost grabbed one that didn't have half, you know, like a chunk of the functionality with it. So then I'm poking through the games, and it's like 200 games. Ooh, wow. Until you realize that like a whole bunch of them, like 50 of them, are like duplicates. Okay, like, and then they don't have like names. Like it's like Ninja 1. Is that Ninja Gaiden? I don't know. No, it's like Takeshi's Castle or something like that from like the Famicom. Like just stuff like that. And then there's like Turtles. It just says Turtles. Could be anything. Could be anything, right? This Turtles for, you know, the very first Turtles game for the NES. But then there's like Shadow Knight, and it's like Jet Fighters. The names are all just wrong. Dragonfire. That was the one that I was like, oh, Dragonfire. That sounds cool. It's Tetris. It's just Tetris. I'm like, oh yeah, this is why I returned it the first time. Whoops. So I brought it back, and I was like, yeah, fool me twice. Oh man. So yeah, just been a master of bad decisions. So then Tuesday, I guess yesterday night. Yeah, I'm bad at math. No, Tuesday, I saw the Odyssey in the theater. I went with a friend. We made a whole like afternoon, evening thing out of it. So I didn't get home till a little later than I kind of planned. But not a bad movie, actually. I know people are gonna like crap on it because about historical accuracy and all that, because it's not really a true adaptation of the Odyssey. It's like the Cliff Notes version, and it leaves out a lot. Like Achilles is not really in the movie. He's mentioned, but he's not in it. But he's in the Odyssey for like a short little bit. It's not like a big role. And I guess Elliot Page, Ellen Page, if you ever knew that person, went to, transgender, female to male. Elliot Page has the role in the movie that I guess was originally going to be Achilles, but then Elliot got picked for something else. So he played the role of the soldier who has to lie to the Helen of Troy, like the soldiers of Troy, in order to get the horse into the city. He says it's a gift, and Odysseus never actually tells this soldier the truth. So the soldier cannot actually lie. They genuinely believe it's just a gift for the queen, for Helen, and this person is being killed for it. And it's a whole theme with the Odyssey is that it is a very like if you read the original, Homer's The Odyssey, it is there's a reason why the word Odyssey still stays in the language of today. And it is because Odyssey is not just a journey or an adventure. It is it's an experience. Like when I say I'm going on an Odyssey, I'm not going on vacation, right? Like I'm going on a it's big, right? Like it's transformative. Like that is what the Odyssey is to the language. Odyssey is a big word. And it is because Odyssey is an epic fable. It is an epic story. It is the story of a man and his crew who, they decide to take a journey away from the main fleet and get basically punished for that, but not really. It's weird. But all of these islands, all these places they have to stop, their journey gets worse and worse and harsher, but like it's surreal, the places they go to and the things that happen. It's often quite horrifying, to be honest. And the movie doesn't necessarily like dive too deep into this kind of that part of the adventure. It mentions some of the island stops, like the Cyclops, the Witch, Scylla and Charybdis, but like it really doesn't like spend too much time on those things. It's more about Odysseus himself. But what the movie's really good at is capturing like that sense of like how epic it is and the horror and like darkness and humanity that came out of that. Odysseus, after all of his, I guess you'd call them adventures, is a changed man. Like he is somebody who started this, you know, and ended this in as two completely different people. And yet still the core of who he is there. And that is captured in the movie quite well, actually. And my favorite part of the movie is the speech that he gives at the end. It's not a speech is the right word, but monologue, I guess you could say, when Penelope is asking him, because she does not know that he is Odysseus. She only knows him as the soldier that he said he was, Cyan, which is the soldier that was killed, believing that they were, you know, having the horse sent as a gift to Helen of Troy. When she asks him about, you know, like the war, because he says he's the last survivor of the war, and he gives this monologue about how the sacking of Troy, basically he realized what he had done to, you know, to accomplish this feat. What did that mean for him? And he realized that, you know, through his adventure, like he basically changed the world. He changed how warfare is done. He was literally the enemy that people fear through it. And it wasn't a glorious victory. As a matter of fact, it was almost like a heralding of the end. Now, to be fair, I mean, historically, it's not the truth. You know, like Greek civilization lasted well after Troy. But, you know, in the eyes of the Odyssey, you know, as the story is written, it's all, and everything in the Odyssey is larger than life. You know, for you know, that's why it's meant to be an epic, right? You know, it is, you know, that is how he came away from it, you know, as a changed man. The movie does a really good job of capturing that moment of humanity, you know, where, you know, where he's basically just like, you know, I broke something doing this, and in return, I became broken, and I have not been able to fix myself, but I'm a work in progress. And at the end of the movie, when he goes west to honor the soldiers, he's doing that as like, as more of a, you know, I have to do it, an obligation, but it's a lie. Really, he's just getting out of it. He doesn't want to deal with it anymore. Penelope's the same way. That's why they leave their kid in charge. So, but overall, like, the movie was visually a spectacle. The actors were mostly okay. There was some wooden deliveries of some lines and stuff like that, and some words that kind of felt out of sorts, but eh. My biggest issue with the movie truly was the audio. The audio was garbage. Like, I don't know why Christopher Nolan and so many other, like, whatever directors, whatever, like TV shows, movies, it doesn't matter. It feels like you have, like, you know, the characters will have all of this like hushed dialogue, and they're all like, because apparently talking like this is supposed to create intimacy in a scene, you know, between you and the audience. And like, no, because people don't talk like that. People talk like this. They talk like normal people. Nobody goes around talking like this all the time, you know? Like, it's silly. And yet, like, for over a decade, like, this is how it's been in Hollywood. They all think that these actors have to be, like, almost face to face whispering at each other. You know, there's a very, like, large emphasis on actors' faces being, like, right up on the fucking screen, you know, like, right in the camera, you know? And when they're talking to each other, they're literally, like, 3 inches away from each other's faces. You know, it's absurd. You know, and so, yeah, you've kind of lost, like, the wider scope of things, you know, in terms of like camera framing, because now it's like, oh, we have to have all the actors like talking a little bit. But the problem is like, that's not the problem. Like, the problem is that we went through like this weird audio period during the 80s and 90s where we had a 2.0 mix, which was you had a speaker on the left side and a speaker on the right side, stereo, right? They call it 2.0. And then there was 2.1 where they added a subwoofer to give you that nice little bass, right? That was Dolby Pro Logic, you know, basically Dolby Surround. That was how it started. It was like a fake surround. It worked pretty well, but there was no center channel for audio. And that was 5.1, where you would add a front middle speaker and 2 rear speakers to have the audio circulate around your head so that you would have a relatively immersive sound. So like if something exploded on the screen, but it kind of came from behind the camera, you would hear it behind you. That was kind of the idea of it. And it worked out pretty well for the most part. 5.1 mixing wasn't perfect, but you know, it was pretty good. If everybody remembers THX with the, you know, like all that cool stuff, which I honestly kind of miss those intros sometimes. But like there's the Simpsons joke where they're all in the theater, and I wonder if I actually could just pull that up. So if anybody remembers this, see if I can get the YouTube, please. Yeah. There's really a Simpsons clip for everything, man. There really is. Hang on, let me pause that music for a sec here. Zip my little butt down. All right, so yeah. So we got this guy here. Oh. So that clip used to play before movies when they would announce like THX audio stuff like that. You know, this movie has THX in it, and like and that's how it felt. Like it was loud. I remember when we saw Mortal Kombat. I know I'm making myself feel really old here, but the original Mortal Kombat opening. This right here. I don't care if I get TMCA for this. This is how it sounded like to me. Yeah, my video was this loud. I'm peeking like crazy, I'm sure. My theater cranked this as loud as it possibly could. The speakers were distorting. My friend, who was literally right next to me, I had to yell at the top of my voice as hard as I could so that he could hear me. That's how loud this was. It was insane. And they had the surround sound and everything. This movie was amazing, by the way. But that theater went absolutely bonkers and they cranked the crap out of it. Here's the thing though. That was okay. Like going into it, it was super loud and I probably damaged my hearing from it. But that's how it was. Like if it was going to be loud, it was just loud. People just turned the volume up. But it's everything in the movie was all that loud. The actors were that loud, the special effects, the sound, the music, all of it was the same volume. But now when you watch stuff, it's not the same volume anymore. My friend that I went to the theater with for the Odyssey, they had to spend half of the movie covering their ears because what would end up happening is the actors would talk quietly and then a very loud explosion or animal sound or some other physical like sound effect would be, or music would be extremely loud. Like even I was uncomfortably like, I mean, here I am gushing about Mortal Kombat being so loud that it was vibrating the movie speakers at the theater and that I'd have to scream at my friend next to me so he could hear me. Like that's how like jarringly loud this was. And it ruined the movie in terms of immersion because like the scenes that would really pull you in, suddenly like you didn't care because you were going, oh God, you know, and you're covering your ears, and it just sucked. It really sucked. And the thing is I know this wasn't the movie theater's fault, because this has been an issue with like Christopher Nolan movies and just like a lot of movies and TV shows in general for a while now. There was a study that just came out, like, and there's been a few of them now, showing that the vast majority of people are watching like Netflix and other videos online with subtitles on. And the reason why most people are saying that they turn subtitles on is because they say that they have to choose between hearing what the actors say or trying to normalize the sounds of loud things. So and they do this for ads too. Like ads will always be louder than whatever the TV show was that you were listening to. So let's say you were watching I don't know, a episode of Friends, right? Because you know that's still relevant this day and age. You know, or General Hospital or whatever TV show is a thing. And then ads come on. The ads will always be louder than the TV show. And the reason they do that is because it's loud. So immediately you go, whoa, you know, you're immediately paying attention because it's loud. You have to pay attention to it. You're shocked. You're startled. If it was as the same volume as a TV show, you're already lulled by being immersed in the show. The impact of you going, oh, that's a commercial, you know, it's like a shock moment. They do a lot of studies on this. When I was in college, I did a lot of psychology research. So my two initial major classes were sociology and psychology. Granted, I didn't get too deep in it. I only spent about a year in college. But I did do some papers on this stuff, and I did a lot of research as a result of these classes. One of the things that you learn about being in both psychology and sociology is certain names come up from people in history. And one of them is, like, for example, Sigmund Freud's brother. Let me see if I can pull up his name here. Sigmund Freud brother. Let's see here. Oh, here we go. It wasn't his brother, actually. His relation was actually Sigmund Freud's sister was his mother. So he was related to Sigmund Freud, but not like I thought. So his name is Edward Bernays. Edward Bernays is basically the pioneer in the field of public relations and propaganda, which honestly are kind of the same thing. So in his obituary, like according to the Wikipedia article earlier, is as the father of public relations. So I'm not going to go into like the controversies of what his work has done over the years. I think we can kind of see the results of that firsthand. But essentially, marketing is what public relations and propaganda are. Like when you see an advertisement on television, here, I can actually just leave the Wikipedia article there for you. These types of people, they know you. They know you better than you know yourself. All this data collection that you've been dealing with for years from companies, it's designed to build a profile on you. Sometimes you specifically, but generally just you, as in like a culture, a society of people. And so when you have all of these types of researches going on, like they know what you'll click, they'll know what you spend time on. Like YouTube literally has algorithms that are like, how long did this person watch this video? What parts of the video were they most interested in? What's the part in the video where they clicked to skip ahead, right? Things like that. They do A/B testing for thumbnails. Like you don't think about all the ways you are subtly psychologically manipulated all the time to want things, to think things, to feel things. And so one of the most basic ways that you can use things like propaganda, marketing, public relations, is shock and awe. So what you do is you do loud noise, which my noise reducer is going to blank out with that. But imagine I'm clapping here. I'm clapping. Hopefully that gets caught. So you walk up to somebody and right in front of their face, you clap your hands as hard as you can. That will shock them and they will have a fight or flight response. So you might get punched out of instinct. But you also might have people that, because there's 3 phases that people can have in a fight or flight response. They will fight, they will run, or they will stand there in shock. Now, the person who fights you, crap you're going to do, you're probably going to get punched in the face. Get ready for that. The person who runs, you're not going to bother chasing them. It's a waste of your time. They'll be back anyway. The person who is shocked, that's the person that is going to be the most susceptible to what you're doing, right? Because in that moment, anything can happen. And so anything will happen if you prepare for it. So if you have a moment in society, like let's say 9/11, shocking, terrible moment in American history, that you can absolutely believe there were people who took advantage of that moment because they knew that at that moment, people were susceptible to many types of suggestions that had that moment not existed, they wouldn't have even entertained. Like, for example, going to war. You know, a lot of propaganda stuff came out on 9/11. How dare you criticize blankety blank? Are you not American? Right? Like, all of those types of things would happen because of the moment. Now, whatever you want to say about conspiracy theories or any other shit, leave that at the door. But that is the reality of things. When you have a shock in the system, you know, at that moment, you can get away with a lot of things because you've prepared for it. And so it goes the opposite way too. If you have a moment of shock, you can use that moment of shock, that disorganization, that moment where nobody's prepared. You can use that moment to fix the things you did. And that's propaganda. So let's say that you're a car company and you created a car and it turns out that car is kind of a lemon and it kills a lot of people. Well, that sucks, right? So what you do is you go with your hat in your hand and you go out to the public and you put out a bunch of ads saying, hey, we're a car company. Car company, we look out for you. We screwed up. We are sorry about that. You know, like today's version of that would be the black box on a Twitter post. You know, hey, we know we screwed up, guys, but here at Company X, we're working to make sure that's better and that will never happen. You know, all that kind of stuff, right? Like every company does this. It's bullshit. And people know this, but you know, it's a feel good thing, right? And over a long enough time period, oftentimes these days, a shorter time period than you kind of like, it gets kind of glossed over. People's memories fade. It's not as bad as you think. You know, like here's a great example of this. It's only the middle of the year, right? We're still in July for another day. Doge was last year. This time last year, we were still arguing about Doge. Nobody talks about Doge anymore. It hasn't really been that long in human history. It's been a little over a year since Trump got in office and Doge was a thing. And yet here we are, right? Nobody talks about it. Nobody really talks about Elon Musk in politics anymore. He's kind of done with that, right? You know, but during the time he was doing all that, it was a big deal. People were freaking out. He was all over the news, you know, and now it's like, he's gone. And his reputation kind of, you know, it took a dirt net. You know, I mean, people really kind of crapped on him for his views and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, he's always had his supporters, but for the most part, yeah, people took any chance they could to shit on this guy. Deserved or not. I'm gonna leave that one to you. But now, people don't really talk about him much like that. It's still there a little bit. There's always going to get somebody who wants to get their jab in. But like discourse on Elon Musk has changed a little bit because he's kept quiet. And so he's laid low. And so it's kind of smoothed things over. If he goes back out of the public and starts saying and doing things people don't like again, yeah, sure, obviously people are going to jump on him again. But for the most part, yeah, you know, people have kind of moved on from it, regardless of whether they should have or not, right? And that's the power of marketing. You don't have to necessarily do anything. Sometimes not doing something works too. Either way, people get manipulated, and the psychology of how people think, that changes over time, right? So all of this stuff that I'm talking about, going back to the Odyssey, that is what they think they're accomplishing with that audio, is that if it's like an explosion, because it's now suddenly very loud, your immersion is the same as if an actual explosion had gone off. You're like, oh, you know, and yeah, like it's supposed to be a shocking thing. If the music suddenly gets swelling and very loud, like it's supposed to be maybe a rousing moment or a scary moment. They're trying to use volume to create immersion. The problem with this goes back to actors talking quietly. If you can't understand dialogue, then having actors talking doesn't help you because everything's loud, right? So if you're gonna have actors whispering or using hushed tones like this, it has to be for emphasis, not for constant dialogue. And this is where people have fucked up audio in movies. If you go back and you watch a movie from, we'll say 2008 and older, you don't have this problem. It's only movies that have kind of been pushing past that decade into 2000s and 10s. And I would say the problem really started getting noticeable around like 2012, 2013, you know, and it's just gotten worse and worse. And so, yeah, that is my biggest issue with the Odyssey. Not the content, you know, not the characters, none of that. It's the stupid audio. Because nobody should be going to a movie theater and holding their hands over their ears because it's so insanely loud and then so quiet that you have to basically strain your ears to be able to hear anything. That whiplash makes it for a very unenjoyable experience. I don't care who you are. Okay, all of that aside, I think we're good here. So, but this was pretty fucking peak, won't lie. So, on that note, back to more nonsense and shenanigans. Can't believe I've been talking about this crap for 47 minutes. All right, let's see if my setup is a little bit better today, but I'm not playing a game, so maybe that's what's going on here. I just don't understand why VTube Studio keeps closing. It's weird. We're gonna zoom in. Big head. Oh wait, nope. Yep. There we go. Can we do that? There we go. I'll just be giant head. Giant head guy. What's up, guys? It's your boy. It's your boy. Okay. Anyway. So, yeah. This stream's mostly just a screw-off stream. Sorry. If anybody came in expecting actual video game playing or anything like that, that's not happening tonight. It's too late for that, truly. It's 4:30 in the morning. And if Iron Mouse can do this for 5 hours before she streams a single game, so can I. But yeah, I don't know. Let's see. What else is there really to talk about? Oh yeah, stream updates. I suppose I can kind of dig into that. So in the coming week or so, I'm going to be updating my stream. Nothing crazy, no major revamp or anything like that, but I am going to kind of fix up some stuff that I've been neglecting. So for one thing, I'm going to be adding a whole bunch more channel redeems, some cool sound effects, and I'll try and get some of those green screen memes and stuff going up on there. I'm not sure how the pricing for them is going to go. I'll try to be pretty fair on the channel points. But I just want to give people some fun stuff to actually kind of play with. I'm also probably going to have a stream game for people to come in and play when they're here. They can, you know, try catch fish or whatever. Something real simple. I don't want to overload the stream with that kind of stuff. I know some streamers kind of do, and I don't know how well that works for them, but I don't feel like that's something for me. But it would be nice if people just kind of had something to do when they're kind of bored of me, you know, during certain moments. You know, I know sometimes playing horror games, things can get a little intense or quiet. I may not talk as much. You know, because I'm kind of locked in and focused. But yeah. So, but either way, you know, channel partner and stuff. Also going to be updating the audio for my notifications, because I'm going to be honest, the one that came with this pack that I use, this Stream Elements anime pack thing, it's always kind of sucked. It's really quiet. I can't really hear it that well, even though I have it turned up in the source. So I'm just going to add my own sounds. Probably nothing amazing. Just very obvious, like, hey, yeah, somebody actually subbed, somebody actually followed, and so I could hear it when I'm doing stuff and actually respond in real time, because I have missed quite a few follows and stuff like that because of the fact that I don't really hear it that well, and that's a little frustrating, to be honest. And then honestly, working on the overall stream itself, you know, the starting screen and all that kind of stuff, I am still looking at the assets on like VGen. I cannot afford anything truly, so I'm looking at like cheap stuff, like $30 at most. Trying to find something that fits the vibe of the channel. You know, with that, it has a little extra like flair to it, maybe some animations or something. You know, but yeah, unfortunately, I'm just not in a good financial spot right now. In terms of being able to splurge on stuff, pay my bills, I can keep a roof over my head. It's all the other stuff I'm worried about. I asked for an extension on my credit card, like a little extra more credit, and my credit score got fucking hammered by that because I made one hard inquiry and they were like, how dare you? I was like, why? What is the point of having credit if you won't let me have credit? Like, you sent me a million credit card offers, but the moment I actually ask for any of that, you're like, no, what? Nah, psh, come on, boy. What were you thinking? You know, it's like, this does not seem fair, man. Does not seem fair. So I'll keep plugging away, get the credit score back up, you know, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's been a little rough. I won't lie. I won't lie. It's been a very expensive year. But I'm pushing through it, and I'm hoping that, you know, by the end of the year I can look back and be like, yeah, things are on the upswing, you know. I will say, while I'm not a partner, not an affiliate, I have been streaming for about 3 years now. You know, been back to streaming for about 3 years. I kind of want to plan something of like a celebration. This wouldn't be until like January, because that, I guess, technically would kind of be like my anniversary date, you know. Trying to think here. I did some streams in like 2022, so I guess it would be like a 4-year anniversary already doing this. I don't know, with all the on and offs, I don't really count it as like one long actual stream adventure, but overall, yeah, I've been back on the platform streaming, I guess I'll say it like that, since like 2022. I started, like, it was like a stream here, and like a few months later I did another stream and just kind of figuring things out, but not actually streaming very long. But my first real, like, I played the game, streamed it all the way through type of thing, that would have actually been my Call of Juarez stream. When did I do that stream? Let me look here. Gotta go all the way back to the beginning here. $123.23. So when I did Call of Juarez Gunslinger, it was my full game playthrough. And yeah, weird that I don't have my Luigi's Mansion 3 playthrough on here. I only have some of, well, I don't, do I have my whole Link's Awakening playthrough? I don't, I think I do. My Darkest Dungeon playthrough. I never did finish Darkest Dungeon. Man, that was not that great. Here. A little playthrough, you know, behind the scenes here for you. I did do a complete Warhammer Space Marine playthrough. I like this game. This was really fun to play. But yeah, 123.23. So I guess, let's see, that'd be 24, 25, 26. Yeah, so I suppose I've been doing this for about 3 years. 2.5 years will be generous. That's really not too bad. It's really not too bad. So yeah, hoping maybe like by January next year, we could do a pseudo anniversary stream, kind of plan something, maybe do a giveaway or something. I have a bunch of Steam keys from Humble, but I don't know if any of them are any good. But I might start doing some giveaways or something, just kind of pull some people in. I know most people will just, hang around and then leave once the giveaway's done. I don't know. That's why I don't think a lot of people do giveaways anymore, but I'd like to kind of drum up some interest to get people pulled in. I'm clearly not that exciting. And I'm also not being helped along by stuff like COVID, where people are trapped and have no choice but to watch me, because captive audiences are always really good for this, right? But yeah, I feel like it is time to start kind of working on a change for the stream. Not necessarily in the content I'm playing or anything like that. You'll still get the same old Twitch silliness. But just kind of gonna, I've been thinking, this is me spitballing out loud. I do this occasionally. I'm just thinking to myself about, like, how do I want the future of this all to go? I don't necessarily think it's a viable strategy to stream like 5 days a week, hours every day, if you don't already have an audience built up to stream. And I like streaming. I know it's not always the most invoked. People are like, who has the time to watch 7 hours of a stream? It's like, well, lots of people do. But not everybody, most people don't watch an entire stream. They dip in and out. It's fine. Like, there's VODs. You can skip through the VODs to get the cool parts. There's clips. Like, there's lots of ways that you can catch up on a video and you don't have to watch the whole dang thing. You think most people are sitting around actually watching all 2.5 hours of those documentaries on YouTube? They're not. They put them on in the background. They do other stuff. Occasionally, they might, like, focus on one part that they thought was interesting. And that's kind of about it. But people still like them. That's why they've grown in popularity. Long form content has kind of been on the upswing because, yeah, it's not like you pay attention to it all the time, but it's like a soundtrack to your life in a way. So yeah, definitely thinking we're going to be going down that route. So there will be some changes, nothing crazy at first, but I'm hoping to kind of snowball it. It's time. I've been using the same setup here, I think, for about the same amount of time, to be honest. The same screens with the same anime girls. And don't get me wrong, I like it. It's cool. But a lot of people do use this. It would be nice to kind of have something a little bit more unique. I just haven't found the thing that, like, reaches out to me. And part of that is because the lore I have for this character, this Stream Crush persona avatar thing, has always kind of been in flux, and I don't have a, like, simple thing like I should. I am the colorful demon lord, right? But, like, what does that really mean? Like, if you're Iron Mouse, you just go, I'm Satan. Straight to the point. And then you just develop a lore story around that, to kind of include all your little goofiness about your stream, your little lore bits. You can go the multiverse way with, like, Zen, Zentreya. That kind of works. Buff Pup's just a werewolf that works out. Like, there's those kind of concepts. And then there's people who just, like, I exist. Like, what is Tobbs? Tobbs is a skunk. Not even really. Tobbs is just Tobbs. Koki is the frog, but, like, the punk, that, like, the city punk delinquent girl. There's always a basic concept around these characters that people have made. Cabal is like an eldritch cult lord. Pumpkin Potion is like a rubber hose cartoon. So yeah, for me, I'm just a demon person with cool horns. And I do have a whole, like, lore background thing that I've kind of been working on in the background. One of the things that I've been concepting in my brain, and a little bit like out of that is my demon lords, the generals or whatever, right? Like, because every demon lord has to have like the people that are like running his armies and everything right below him, right? The whatever you want to call them. Like in anime, it's always like the 4 heavenly generals, of the of the Lord, or like that kind of thing, right? So so the concept I had was that after a tragic, terrible thing that happened that turned me into the way the way I am, that I used my cool powers of color, I guess you'd say, to go around and just kind of multiversal travel. And through those adventures, I've discovered each of my generals, and basically recruited them as friends, allies, compatriots, and then we had some cool adventures along the way and that kind of thing, et cetera, et cetera. So the problem is that's a really complicated concept. I mean, all of them would have to be relatively fleshed out characters with their own designs. And while I have a general idea of how I would like them to look and act, obviously you have to get somebody to voice act them. I don't want to do like AI voices for them. I don't want to do that. I don't know any, like I've said this before, I don't hate AI in terms of a technology. I hate the bullshit behind it, the data centers and the sucking up the water and energy, like all that crap, the ruining of the market for normal people's electronics. Like there's a lot of controversy, the copyright infringement, loss of jobs, all of those things suck, right? There's tons of things, but like as an idea of what AI is right now, generative algorithmic bullshit. It's not real art. It's not real intelligence. It doesn't have to be though, right? Generative computing. We'll just call it that. I don't hate it. I'm just not a fan of like people putting it out as like a commercial product, because pretty much none of it is really good as a commercial product. It has so many problems. A really good example of this, and I actually tweeted about this earlier today, is this dumb crap. So this was on, so this was on the YouTubes. This frustrated me when I saw this. This is Stellar Blade, I guess Stellar Blade 2. This music video, Wanna Be in Love, was posted to the Stellar Blade channel here. And then it's also on their YouTube. And give me just a second and I will show you part of it. I'm not going to play the audio, but it's just a K-pop type song. Give me a second here. All right. So I'm not going to play the audio. It's just a standard K-pop type song. The premise of it is that the character that's in the new upcoming Stellar Blade game, Eevee, is singing the song. And when I saw this part here, I was like, oh, this must be CGI. Because look at how incredibly detailed this is. And unfortunately, it just gets worse from here. And it's simultaneously really good looking and also really bad looking. And you'll see why. So here is Eevee coming up to the microphone. Oh, shit. So I was going to not play the music. There was the music. But you can already tell that something is wrong here. Look at how high quality this is, right? The hair is all nice and smooth, but like it has this AI generated look to it, and that's because it is all AI generated. Now the ending of the video says that this was created and then an AI assistance was helped with it. So I'm gonna guess this is something like DLSS 5, where they concepted everything, put it all out there, and then AI basically fill in the gaps and just kind of clean it up and put its DLSS 5 filter on. And I'm going to guess that the song is also AI generated. And I say that because there is no artist attribution. Like normally if somebody's singing a song, it'll say song, you know, originally written by blah, 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 and all that. That's not here at all. So I'm going to guess that this is the lyrics are probably original and then put into the AI, and then this is the song they got, or went with, I should say. Because that's not hard to do. I've done it a million times on Suno. But yeah, we'll keep playing. You can kind of see like the animation. This was the thing that threw me off at first. The animation, I thought this must be in engine at first because it has that look. They obviously used the assets from the game for this. The animation is incredibly good, as in like uncannily good. So you can already kind of see it, right? We're going to go over some more details in a little bit. But yeah, at first I was like, this is interesting motion capture. And I think some of it is. I think there's actually an actress, and that's what the AI filter is over. But like you can definitely see how jarring this is. Let me move my mouse a little bit here. And you could definitely tell also that they've done a lot of work to kind of keep things relatively consistent. So I can't imagine how many generations this took to do. But yeah, I mean, there are definitely times where this borders on hyper-realism. Like it looks incredibly realistic, almost too much, if that makes any sense. There's like an uncanny valley to it. You know, and then at the same time, there are times where you're brought back to reality. You're like, oh yeah, no, this is a computer generating this stuff. But look at the motion capture. It is incredibly good. Like, it is. I'm not going to lie, you know. But it's very mid-journey. Anytime you pause, I mean, that you can immediately go, oh yeah, that's just AI. Right? I'm just randomly pausing it. That could be a screenshot from the game. Because it is. This part right here is where Evie is talking to whatever on the radio thing when she's spying on the two guys who are here. This is literally assets from the game. That right there, that's what we call copyright infringement, everybody. That is K-pop Demon Hunters. That's the little dog thing mascot, but that literally says K-pop Demon Hunters right there. I wonder if that was intentional. It was intentional. The text placement for the AI is really good. By the way, pay attention to... Here, I'm going to move this for a sec here. See robot guy right here? Look at his face. Yeah. Watch this in a sec. Oh, did it not show it? Yeah, his eye's missing in one of the shots. But either way, you can kind of see, like, at first, it doesn't seem so bad on the surface. It's when you start looking at it and you're realizing all the details change, and they're always a little off. Like her face is never quite the same. Every time the camera, so to speak, changes, the scene changes, her like face changes a little bit. Another small detail, and this is something that you'll definitely notice, is the AI never quite gets these right. Like, pay attention to that, right? Different design. Oh, I'm in the way here. Damn it. Right there. You see how it's a little different? And then a little different. Completely different. Let's see. Different again. So like the overall shape is still accurate to the design, but all of the little details are always wrong. There's nothing you can do with that. That's just AI. It can't be consistent. It's not designed to be consistent. Unfortunately, that's just how it is. Even her boobs are different. Like they're pretty flat here. Oh, see if I can kind of Can we do a little better here? Trying to find a shot where she's not. Yeah, her body shape changes too. Towards the end of the video, they do, this part's interesting. This is the most interesting part of the video here. Is, this. So I'm going to assume that these are the actual, like production members for Shift Up, being, like, put into this video. But what's interesting here is, I'm going to guess this is green screened. This is the part I would be most interested in learning how they did this. But, like, you can very clearly tell that the woman that is here... Let's see, can we get to that part where they're zooming around her butt? This woman here, with the nice perfect ass and everything, and the long legs and all that, is not this woman. This is actual woman proportions, real person. As a matter of fact, the face right here is completely different from Evie that you saw earlier. So my guess is this is the actual actress they used for the motion capture. And then these are, you know, the actual production crew, and everything else is like a green screen. But then there's times where it changes. The filter is like, oh, like that doesn't even look like Evie. That just looks like a Korean woman. But then that's supposed to be Evie, right? Let's see here. But you'll notice that, like, that's a production guy. These are production people. And they're on a stage here, too. That's another thing. But then look at that, right? This face is completely different from the face that's looking at it. This girl is... These are two different girls. Even the chest is different. But this face is like, you look at his face, you look at her face. I mean, one of these is real. The other one is not. The same here, you know, and like, it's supposed to be like her talking, interacting and stuff. I mean, it's cool in the sense of like a concept. That is a real person. Like, this is probably just what they were actually doing here. Same here with this bit. This one is interesting to me because I think, again, hold on a sec, I gotta scratch my eye. Okay, I think, here, let's see if I can pop back and get a little better view of her face here. I think this is your DLSS 5 thing, where this is the actual actress, and then like this is the filter that they put over her face to make her kind of look more like Evie. Same with like the costume and everything. I think in this case it might actually be the real costume. I don't know, it's hard to say, but this is definitely a filter for her face and everything, because even her hair, you could just tell, is not the same. But it is cool. I like the idea. But yeah, they do a lot of jump cuts here too. That's also part of the lie. But here's actual human women. I'm gonna duck out again because everything seems to be on the fucking right side of the screen. And then look at her. The proportions are all pretty much the same. You know, like obviously her form is going to be more flattered because she's wearing a bodysuit. You know, but the lighting, the hair is incredibly glossy compared to these girls. And everything is just so much smoother for her. And also her, if you look at the glove, you can see that it's her hand. Like it goes from glove to human hand right on the edge here. That tells you right there it's a filter. So yeah, like I said, it's very interesting. But here's the problem I have with this video, and this is what I bitched about in my Twitter post. Did you need all this? Like, did you really need all this? Are your artists not good enough? I know that's a lie because shift up artists are talented. Like, did you need this? What is this for? Like, don't get me wrong. Like, the idea of we'll make this character and make it seem like it's real is not a new idea at all. You know, like self-inserting your actual cast and crew members into it is not unusual. And this, a lot of times when they do these, it's a real person in makeup. It's cosplay, right? They'll have somebody do the cosplay of a character, and then that character will pretend that they're in the world. And then, you know, it's designed to kind of help. Sorry, do like a Roger Rabbit thing where you're blending like the real and the fake, right? Fact and fiction. But did you need AI for this? We've been doing this stuff for so long that, I mean, this dude's hands and arms are missing right here. I just realized that. I think he's supposed to be clapping. But we've been doing this stuff for decades. Like, you can't tell me that the work that was put into this is cheaper, better, faster than you could have done with just letting humans do this. You know, creating the sets and stuff like that. Maybe you could add AI to fill in the backgrounds, but like, I don't know. It just feels weird to me. It just feels weird to me that you would waste this time. Also, if this is accurate at all, this is an interesting lore thing for the game. This material has been reviewed and authorized for colony-wide distribution by the blah, 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 blah. So colony-wide distribution implies that like they're actually at a colony. Doesn't look like a mother sphere colony though. It's weird. But yeah, after this part, it says, we'll get to the end here. This video was created using the game resource from Stellar Blade, Blood Rain, and regenerated with AI support. So yeah, it's DLSS 5. It's regeneration is the word that they use, but they put it into an AI filter, and then the AI basically spits out something on top of that. So, you know, if you like AI, cool. But for me personally, I'm baffled that Stellar Blade is a franchise that has amazing audio. Like, the people who worked on the soundtrack for the first Stellar Blade game, like, are musical geniuses. All of them are so talented. You know, when you hear Purnell sing the Demo Crawler song, it is gorgeous. She has a beautiful voice. The guy who did the music for the Raven song, I mean, that is amazing. Like, it sounds fantastic. The Alpha Natiba, you know, when you I never did that fight because I chose the other option, but if you reject Adam, you get like this cool Dark Souls-esque fight. The music that plays for that is amazing. It's just, there's so many great songs in that game that it's almost like it's a music soundtrack, and then you get a free game as a bonus. That's what it feels like sometimes. The music is just fantastic. And then of course the art and production values. Gunnar stuff aside, the art and audio team for Stellar Blade was firing on all 10 cylinders. Like, they did an amazing job. So to have AI do stupid shit like this, it frustrates me, because I'm like, the actual human artistic talent that you have employed there, what this video tells those artists is that their work isn't as good as an AI. It's not as good as a machine. That you needed, like, you were like, this is good, but you know what would make your art better? If somebody else put shit all over the top of it. That's what it looks like. That's what it feels like. It's terrible. You know, imagine you drew something, you know, you're in your high school year, right? And you take this amazing piece of art you did and you bring it to your art teacher, and he's like, you know what would make this better? If it didn't look anything like what you actually did. You know, like, what the heck, right? Like, nobody likes that, you know. And then on top of that, the music for the video is obviously AI generated. There's no credit to any artist for that song. Like, no, the lyrics, who knew? No, nobody, like, obviously nobody actually sang it. It was AI. So, you have all of these people that were doing this soundtrack. Why did you tap any of them and have Evie sing a song? Like, get the voice actress for Evie and have her sing a song. Like, the actual voice actress. It doesn't have to be a beautiful singing voice. It just has to be an authentic one. You build the song around the voice. Rin Penrose, going way back, we'll call back to the beginning of the stream here. Rin Penrose is not what you would consider a vocalist. She is not like what you consider a proper singer. She doesn't have an opera voice or anything like that. But she makes up for that by using the advantages her voice brings to the table. She makes songs that work with what she can do. And because of that, she's never made a bad song. All of Rin Penrose's songs are perfect for what she does. She's not trying to sound like Iron Mouse. She's Rin Penrose, right? And there's a lot of artists out there that have terrible voices. But like, you never think about it because the songs that they sing are tailor-made for that voice. AC/DC is literally just a guy that sounds like he's squeezing his balls all the time. He's like, and the music, you're like, yeah, music's great. Yeah. Whoa, so it's just that kind of shit. So yeah, all that to say, if the voice actress for Evie couldn't sing in the way that you would think would be a really good way of doing it, you could still make songs that work with that voice. And I think this is a cultural thing in some ways. In other ways, I think it's just a sense of like, what is beauty? What is art? Some people look at this kind of stuff and they go, oh, that's fine. I don't have a problem with it because it looks perfect. It looks beautiful. Like, don't get me wrong. I love the female body. I think that, the way that the female body looks is beautiful. I love the curves and, everything. You give me a nice booty, or a wonderful pair of boobs, and I will be entranced for hours. I just find myself endlessly fascinated with the human body. And I love looking at the female form. I say this as a straight man. But I just, even if I was a woman, I would probably be thinking the same thing. Men's bodies, they're cool in their own way. I'm not gonna shit on the genders here. I'm just saying that, like, I don't mind gooning a little bit. But I'm okay with like imperfection too. If you got a lady that's a bit more plus sized, it ain't the end of the world. Everybody comes in all shapes and sizes. So for me, I don't need my characters in games or movies or whatever to always be perfect, to have the right proportions according to whatever the hyper standard of beauty is. They don't have to have their eyes a certain size. Maybe they could squint a little bit. Or maybe their boobs, like maybe they're flat chested. Flat is justice, right? They don't always have to have giant gazongas. A lot of women hate having giant gazongas. It hurts their back all the time, right? Nobody wants to fucking 10 pounds of weight swabbing around your chest all the time, right? Not every woman wants to have shit riding up their ass just to emphasize it. Some women do, right? But some women don't have an ass. It's just nature, right? Some women have too much of an ass, they would argue. Not every woman has the right leg length. Like, we all come in different shapes and sizes. It ain't perfect, right? Embrace the imperfections, I say, because you will get more realistic and natural looking people. But the expectations that you have in media is that we can't have that, because people would be disappointed by that somehow, to see realistic looking people. The people that when you go out and you see them every day, why would you want to look at that, right? Is what people would normally say. Why would I want to look at ugly people? Is like the thought process that some people have. And I get it. I get the logic. I don't agree with it, but I get it. They want the supermodel. And they want the supermodel who has the pop star singing voice. And they want that person to not only be a supermodel with a pop star singing voice, but to be very smart and clever and always making the right decisions and always saying the witty thing at the witty thing at the right time. You know, they want a perfect person, which I would argue is impossible because you never make a perfect person. And so I see those beauty standards in things that come out of Korea and a lot of Asian places a lot. You know, I see it in America, of course. You know, plastic surgery is king in America too. Just these unrealistic standards of what people are supposed to look like, and the roles that they're supposed to play. Like, it's impossible for a woman to be in a video game, even though women are half of the fucking population of the human race. You know, and then people are like, oh God, there's women everywhere. It's like, well, there was guys everywhere for like the longest time too. You don't have a problem with that. Nobody was like, oh boy, another game with a guy, you know. But you know, now you have a bunch of games of girls and everybody's like, oh God, another game with a woman in it. It's like, whatever, guys, get over it. But yeah, I think that's when I see this video, you know, this music video, that's what I see. I see somebody going, the imperfections of human art need to be glossed over and fixed by computers making everything look perfect all the time. And it's one of the easiest ways that you could tell why I think this. And I'm going to tell you why. So, because this right here, this person is what they presented you as with Eevee. Let me get a proper close up on her face here. That's what they think Eevee is supposed to be, right? But let's go to the actual shift up channel here. That's Eevee. Let's get a better shot of her face here. There's another one. That's Eevee. Eevee has freckles and moles. Her skin is not perfect at all. Her hair is all over the place. It's not cut properly. She looks young. She's got a baby face, you know, in certain angles. You know, she's obviously fairly grown. I would guess the age of this person, body-wise, is probably somebody who's like 18. I would hope. You know, she's pretty well proportioned. I don't think she's going to high school. But I'm just saying, like, you know, but she's definitely got some baby face going on, and she does look a little young, sure. Which that's the other thing too, is you'll notice that the AI, let's see here. We'll have to go back, but the AI one it seems a little older, which makes sense. They probably the actress they probably chose. Let's see here. We'll skip ahead a little bit. But that's the other thing too, is this is what the game looks like. The game looks gorgeous enough. You couldn't do a music video with this engine? I find that hard to believe. You know, there's a shocked face, so they have good animations. So, but again, like, you know, she doesn't look good enough here. I mean, look at the detail on this hand thing that she pops out. Do you know how hard that is to animate and get right? It's extremely hard. Same with the city. Look at how amazing this city looks. So yeah, I'm just saying that, like, you have all of this and this all looks amazing, and then you chose to do the AI thing. And that's the part that just frustrates me. Is like, you already have this amazing looking trailer with obviously all this really good technology they've already built up. With, by the way, banger music. Like, the music that's playing here is awesome. Here, I'll mute the synthwave. Music done by a real person, by the way. Hi. So yeah, like I said, I just don't understand the AI thing. So going back to that video again, does that really look like Eevee? That's how you can tell it's AI. It doesn't even look like the video game character that's supposed to be there. And so whatever work the artist put in to create whatever this AI filter was put over, it's a waste of their time. And that's a shame. It's just a damn shame. So yeah, it's just frustrating, and I don't like it, and I hate it, and so I made a post about it because it's bullshit. This is why I say I like AI, but I don't ever want to like use it as anything for my stream or my content, because yeah, it's cool. Like, I have awesome songs that I've used AI to produce. I will not say I made them because I didn't actually make anything. I put a prompt in. But I'm never going to use them as, like, this is why I'm using this DMCA free synthwave stuff, which could be AI, I guess. I don't know, but it's not mine. Let's see. What is this from? Taketones.com. They say that they do copyright free synthwave music created by hand-picked artists, and then they have artist names, for better or worse. That's not the stuff I have. Here, I'll tell you what, I will play. I don't know if I'm actually logged in on this. Let's see, what's a good one here? Maybe this one? Do we not believe in audio? Oh. Oh, I just have it turned down, that's why. Alright, here we go. I mean, not bad, right? Pretty cool synthwave. Now, if I played this stuff, would you guys be any wiser? Not really. Most of the stuff doesn't really have any weird imperfections. So, in theory, I could use this music, claim it was copyright free. Would you really know? There's no there's no lyrics, right? So clearly it wouldn't be a problem. And this is one of Suno's older models. That's the part that's crazy. So then you're thinking to yourself, like, well, if it's got lyrics, you can obviously tell that it's AI, right? Well, the newer models, it's almost impossible to tell. I'm going to be honest. There's a reason why a lot of people get fooled on Spotify and stuff. But let's say that you wanted, let's see here. I'm trying to remember. All right, here's one I did. This is actually a remake of the one I originally made. And I say made actually because I actually did pick the lyrics for this a little bit. But here. Now, the problem with Suno and a lot of these AI things is the vocalists that they pick, after a while, because it's always remixed, they do start to sound like the same person. So maybe the newer models get better. I don't know. I haven't really paid. I don't want to pay for any of that. But these lower ones, they lower the audio quality. That's one way you can tell.
a demon lord in hues, colors blaze dimensions, in his grip they fuse. Generals by his side, shadowed silhouettes.
Like I said, that's pretty damn impressive, right? And they're like, well, they can put emotion into this, can they? Mm-hmm. Well, maybe that's just a bit much, right? No way they could really put anything in here, like some kind of flair to the voice. That would be like weird, right? There's no way they could do that. A lot of build up here. I wonder if this is going anywhere. Not sure. Let's turn it up a little bit. You got some bass? It's probably pretty bumping or no? Anyway. Point is, this stuff's really easy to do. This can ruin people's careers. It has probably ruined a lot of people's careers at this point. That's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. It's awesome to be able to do this kind of stuff. You know, like I don't have to hire musicians. I don't have to hire singers. I don't have to focus on music structure or the way music is created at all. I literally just go to the machine and I go, make me thing. And it makes me a bunch of things and I pick the one I like. That's all I've done. That's all AI is you go to the machine and you say, give me thing I like. And the machine goes, well, we've guessed that these things might be close enough to what you're looking for. And then you pick the one that you like the most. And then you just keep working your way until you get the result you're looking for. And as the AI models have gotten more advanced, they've gotten better about picking what they think you'll like, but you still have to have that human input of tweaking it to get it just the way you want, right? But you're not making anything. That's the problem with DLSS 5, is like, it's just putting a fucking Instagram filter over everything you're doing. Yeah, it looks better, but like, it looks perfect, not better, just perfect. It looks clean. Too clean. It's the issue somebody like me has with like more modern digital art versus older analog art. You know, like when you draw on a tablet, the lines are always perfect. They're always clean. Well, maybe not tablet per se, but like you've noticed this. Like look at anime. Anime is a perfect example of this. You know, like not art style. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about how it all looks. Animation now. It's all perfect, clean lines. There's no wiggles. There's no weird imperfections. The art is always consistently colorful, vibrant, sharp. You know, it's like somebody, you know, just made like perfect stuff. And it all has the same look after a while. You know, if you look at anime, you know, it's always the same now. Like, let's see here. Trying to find like a picture, not of the manga, because manga still looks very different in a lot of ways. But in terms of like the line design and everything, actually this would work perfect. Get like a bigger picture of that art. Yeah, this actually would work really well here. We'll do this. Boom. Shrink myself down a little bit again. Need a button for this. Here's what I mean. Look at this. This is 3 completely different shows. This is Frieren, Oshinoko, and I think this is Jujutsu Kaisen. Yeah, it's been a while. I don't really remember the show too well. And yeah, like obviously the coloring and the lighting and shading is all, it's all different. Like these are recognizably different, but they all look the same. This is not a new phenomena, by the way. If you go back to like 90 shows, a lot of them had like the melted face look. All the girls had like big, really weird big eyes, you know, but like, there, like there was a style then too. Let's see here. Yeah, 90s anime girls. Open image and tab. There we go. Make it a little bigger. You know, so it's not like this is new, but you do notice something here. Even though the format, you know, the art is all similar, you know, same kind of like, you know, the eyes aren't as huge for one thing you'll notice. Like, let's see here. Can we go back to the, oh, actually, my bad. I have that in the other window here. You can kind of see though that like, even though they all have similar, like, you can all tell they're from the same era, all of these characters look very different in terms of art design, like overall, and style. Like the line art isn't the same. The coloring is all different. The face structures are all different. Like everything is different. The hairstyles are all very different, obviously, but you know, but like, yeah, you can tell that each of these is its own show, even though you can tell it's all from the same era. This, not so much. This is what all anime looks like and has looked like for a while now. And you get some like unique ones, some that stand out more than others. But the technology they're using to draw this stuff is all the same stuff. It's all very thin lines, a lot of color that's being used to draw the lines now. The shading is all completely different. I mean, look at the shading on that versus the shading on this. Arguably, this is a little flatter and less colorful. It's just the analog. This was the 90s. Just couldn't do it. It was hard. But yeah, I mean, you can look at like other stuff too. Like, let's see here. Let's see here. That's the new Rurouni Kenshin. Trying to find a good picture of like various. I need something similar to what we were just looking at. I guess that kind of works, but I don't know. I'm not trying to say one's better than the other, but I am saying it's a bit different. So I don't know. It's hard to say. It's hard to say. We'll put some music back on. Zip up. All right, but I do think that like yeah, there is a bit of like I do see the occasional anime try to break out of it. Like when I look at something like Studio Trigger, although they kind of have their own style, you know, but Studio Trigger has tried to be a bit more distinct. A lot of their stuff kind of like it has more animation like look to it. It doesn't try to be like anime. It's hard to explain, but like look at like Little Witch Academia or Akame ga Kill, or even some of their newer stuff. You know, like you can tell that like they put more emphasis on using animation as a character create like tool of like in itself, like as a tool of character expression, and not just like drawing the character. But yeah, you know, it's not everybody likes that. But it's like when you see the new Ghost in the Shell anime, this is what people kind of been complaining about a little bit, is they're like, I liked when my, you know, section 9 was a bit more stoic. It's like, yeah, but that was more, you know, the director of the older stuff and Standalone Complex and all that, like that was a different era. You know, like the original manga definitely was more what you would think 80s and 90s anime was. You know, so really you're just seeing what that was. So I don't know. It just it's interesting to compare and contrast, but I do think that like when I look at all the new anime being announced, it is a reminder of one of the reasons why I'm not as interested in anime as I used to be, because I went to manga. Shock, right? I used to be a very avid anime watcher. Like I would literally watch everything from every season ever. And I did that for a while. I have a secret identity that one day I will reveal. It's not a big deal to anybody anymore, but if you know who I am, you know who I am if I reveal this identity. So I will not for now. One day I will though. But let's just say I knew people. And places, and I know things. So I was really big into it for a while, and I got really frustrated with always getting to a point with anime where like the season would end, the cour or whatever they want to call it, because a lot of anime back then was almost always at least 24 episodes, usually 2 seasons of 24 episodes. So you get like 48 episodes total. You get some very lengthy anime back then. Nowadays it's like you got 12, 13 episodes. Holy shit, you know, like, and then maybe there'd be another season down the road. But back then, no, they were greenlighting everything for as long as possible. I think they're creeping back up to that again, considering the anime has had a worldwide, you know, like surge in recent years. But it's like a true national export now. Whereas when I was watching it, not so much. You know, you had Toonami and you loved it. But yeah, the reason I switched off of most anime was one, it's a bit more time consuming to read, you know, than reading a manga. I can read a manga chapter in 5 minutes and be done with it. Whereas anime, I got set at least a half an hour of time to watch an episode, and I didn't have to deal with that with manga. The other thing is when I did go and read manga, I was often surprised at how different things were adapted from the manga to the anime, and how it didn't necessarily mean that the anime was bad, but it did mean that you weren't really getting a clear picture of what you were missing. Hold on just a second, and I gotta take a drink. Root beer, gotta love it. Like, a really good example of this is there was an anime came out a while ago called Sora no Itoshimono, and that anime had basically it was about a pervert, shock, who literally has an angel like fall on him, enter his life or whatever, and then from there the story gets even wackier, and it's actually a pretty good story. And the artist has a very unique visual style. It's not weird or anything like that. It's very recognizable though. And the anime does an okay job of translating that. But the problem is that there are parts of the anime where the tone of events is completely different because the art style has changed from, you know, being a 2D animated picture, or 2D animated, being a flat picture on a piece of paper versus an animation. And also the animation didn't really look at the art and go, how can we best capture this in our format? And then there's the changing of the scenes for whatever artistic reasons they chose, which changes like not just the look of the scene, but also like it changes how the intent is, how it feels. And so yeah, you kind of come away from it going, oh, this is like a different product almost, right? And like I said, not necessarily a bad thing. But there was also the problem of like when an anime would finish the show's story, instead of going like to be continued with an eventual season that may or may never happen, a lot of times they would opt to just finish the story. Even if the manga hasn't ended yet, they would end the story as if the manga had finished. That created problems. Like, for example, Full Metal Alchemist had to have an entirely new show called Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood that adapted the completed Full Metal Alchemist story, because the original show took a lot of creative freedoms. It really didn't follow the manga too closely. Both of them are fine shows to watch, but there's a reason why Brotherhood exists. Claymore is an awesome manga. People aren't always happy with like how it might have drawn out a little bit, towards the end especially. But overall, awesome story. Really has like that cool like medieval gothic vibe to it. But the anime didn't get to that point because the manga was a monthly release. So by the time the anime had caught up to the manga, the manga still had years more before the story finished. So they went with an anime original route, which ended the story like completely. There was no way you were coming back from it. They literally threw the villain in a volcano or something like that, which did not happen in the manga at all. So there's no way to retcon it to continue and make another season. It was done. So if they ever want to do Claymore, they have to basically start from scratch, which at this point you may as well spend many years. But it was that kind of thing. Or you would just get an anime that just ended. Like, it didn't complete the story. It just didn't keep going either. So you would get 12 episodes, you get really invested, and then basically you'd be told, hey, you want to know the rest? Go read the manga. Which I guess nowadays is the equivalent of go read the light novel. And that's frustrating. That's really frustrating to get invested and spend time doing something, only be told that you can't finish it, you have to go somewhere else. And so I got tired of that. What I discovered is that if I just read the manga, then I just get the whole damn story. Nowadays, it's a little murkier because a lot of stuff's based on light novels, and I don't really want to read light novels. I don't like the way light novels are structured. They don't really read like books to me per se. Some are. I think it's a translation problem, because a lot of fan translations aren't the best, especially nowadays in this age of AI where people are just like, this hasn't been translated, feed it to the AI, and the AI is like, yeah, Bob and Joe. It's like their character names aren't Bob and Joe, but all right, keep going. It just gets worse from there. They don't gender properly because gender's weird in Japanese. The problem ultimately became that, where I was just tired of feeling like I was a second-class consumer with anime. Now, there's a lot of original anime that are really amazing. A lot of them have kind of become lost to time, not in a bad way, just there's so much anime that comes out every year that it's easy to forget what came out even just a few years ago. Like, I would love to get people to see some of the really cool stuff, like especially newer fans of anime, younger kids who've kind of come into the hobby in the last 10 years, like 2016 is 10 years ago. Dear God, we're all getting old. But yeah, like Garden of Sinners. Garden of Sinners came out a while ago. It's KyoAni at its finest, at its peak, I would argue. Pretty close to it, at least. Kara no Kyokai. Beautiful animation. But it's old now. I think it came out in... Let's see here. 2007. Yeah, you can watch it on Crunchyroll. It's pretty damn good. It's based on a Japanese light novel series, so you can read that if you wanted to. Let's see here. UFO table, sorry. Let's see. Licensed by Aniplex in North America. Yeah. Music by Yuki Kajira, which, I mean, come on. Who doesn't know that? I thought it was KyoAni that did this, but maybe it was. It was UFO Table, apparently. Let's see. Produced a series of 7 anime films based on the series between 2007 2009, and also produced an original video animation episode in 2011. The final anime film was produced and released in 2013. So, yeah. And all of them have amazing art and visuals, and just insanely good. Just insanely good. You know, kind of like the Monogatari series, where it's like, you know, it in the moment it had a cult like viral meme like thing, and now just kind of left by the wayside. Lucky Star, Suzumiya Haruhi, you know, which I feel like Endless 8 aside, that one's shit. Nobody should ever watch it. Watch the first episode and then just you're done, you're good, right? You don't need to watch the rest of Endless 8. It's literally the same video just over and over again. But the anime was great, and the movie that caps off that show is really good. Arguably better than the show, in my opinion. It's really well done. And yeah, like it has your typical, like, not comfortable with your parents type of stuff, you know, sexual levels of harassment. You know, Haruhi loves to grab the other girl's boobs all the time. It's really not that bad though, especially compared to some fan service I've seen in newer stuff. You know, but yeah, there's Shikuken Yoshana, there's Noen. Noen's amazing. But yeah, like there was a lot of really weird, strange, like it was a time when, like, I would say 80s, 90s, and a good chunk of the 2000s is when Japanese studios, like the publishers or whatever you want to call them, were like, we have a bunch of money for animation. Let's just throw it at whatever crack addicted, cocaine, marijuana binged, like insane director just wants to have a passion project, you know, and we'll just give them money for this. And that's how you got stuff like Cowboy Bebop, you know, where it was like, this just would not have really gotten made except in that time. You know, like, you know how people are always like, such and such could never be made again. There is some truth to stuff like that. Like, I don't say that you can't make another Cowboy Bebop. That's not what I'm saying. You can always make another Cowboy Bebop. You've proved you can make it once, you can make it again. But there's times and places where these things are more likely to happen. And in that time period, 90s Japan, there was a lot of money flowing into animation for random ass projects that genuinely I don't think would be greenlit under normal circumstances. A lot of them were just batshit crazy. Like, there's so much hentai that came out of Japan during that time. It's just anime, like porn with plot. Some of it didn't even get finished, which is a shame because, like, you know, once you're done fapping, you're like, oh, there's still plot and I'm actually kind of invested, you know, like, but then it just abruptly ends because the project probably ran out of money or something. But like, yeah, it's weird. Nowadays you look at a lot of hentai and it's based off of whatever the fucking NTR of the month is with Mosaic, and it's not as interesting, that's for sure. Weird, I'm going on like a hentai binge, but like the point is like you had stuff like that. You had Ninja Scroll, you had Wicked City, you just had all of these like strange projects that you're just like, how did this ever get approved? And that was just the time. And so yeah, you had stuff like Cowboy Bebop, you know, where it's like this dude probably had friends in high places that owed him a favor and he pulled it in and he got his passion project made, and the rest is history, you know. And some of it was like it changed the face of the entire industry. In some ways went way beyond its original intended influence, like Evangelion. You know, Evangelion, it's one of those things, like if you're a kid now like let's say you're a teenager now, or you're somebody in your 20s, you truly do not understand how huge Evangelion was. I know it's still big in terms of like everybody knows what Evangelion is type of thing, but like Evangelion at one point, the movies that like they released end of, I think it was end of Evangelion into theaters in Japan, and it grossed more than like big budget Hollywood movies in the 90s. That's how big Evangelion was. It was a big deal. It memes for it everywhere. It was adapted into everything, video games, you name it. Like Evangelion was a huge deal. You know, and that's just like that was the times, right? You know, it broke containment. Dragon Ball Z was like that a little bit too. It somehow broke containment and became a big cultural thing, like across the world. In ways that I think it took One Piece and Naruto much longer to do. Dragon Ball just was able to crack the code. You know, and yeah, like this was the power of like money being given to artists to let them make the things they wanted to make. And if the project was a success, it was a huge success, right? And if it failed, I mean, it failed, but you gave it a shot and you got truly wonderful, unique things out of it. Like a really good example is Angel's Egg, which is a really weird movie where nobody really talks. And it has a very distinct visual look to it. And it's a weird movie. You'd never think that this movie would be good, right? But like it somehow sticks with you. It like gets in your head and it just makes you think all the time. And there was a lot, not just Japan, there was a lot of animation throughout that time, the 80s and 90s and 2000s, where it was like the 2000s where, you know, CGI was creeping in and companies were getting more skittish and stuff. So money was starting to pull out a little bit. And of course, you know, towards the end of the decade, you had the recession that pulled a lot of money out of things. But yeah, like you had a lot of like the weird adult animation stuff in the 80s, 70s and 80s from studios in like the West, like Fire and Ice and Wizards and stuff like that. You know, and yeah, I mean, even stuff that was like mainstream, like Don Bluth got a lot of attention being an animator, you know, and his movies were put up against Disney movies. So you had like Land Before Time and Secret of Nim and All Dogs Go to Heaven, and people remember those. Those are like iconic cultural things from that time that stood toe to toe with like Disney of all things, right? Disney, the studio that is like the animation powerhouse, right? That people tend to think of it, right? Nowadays, not so much, but back then, yeah. Disney was synonymous. Disney and Warner Brothers were the two Western studios that like these guys made animation. Not so much now, but that was how it was. And so to have somebody like Don Bluth right there, this is before DreamWorks was a thing and all that. And he's putting out these movies and it's like boom, boom, boom. These are all, you could tell they're projects of passion. The artists working on these things are talented. These don't seem like they would be huge things. Land Before Time, the first 5 minutes of the movie is Bambi. You know, it is the mom dying. It is traumatic. And this is a movie that's marketed to kids with adorable kid, you know, like characters. It's got Plucky, you know, Littlefoot, Bigfoot, you know, and it's like, and yeah, there's a terrifying T-Rex that chases them for most of the movie. And then it's a happy ending, but it's after a lot of tragedy and trauma, right? It built us, made us into tigers, as ABGM would say. You know, there's a lot of movies back then where it was like, holy shit, this is traumatic. Should a 5-year-old be watching this? Probably not. You know, do we really need to watch a horse singing into quicksand? We're gonna do it. Put it in the movie. And then market it to 10-year-olds. You know, give them a fucking lifetime of therapy. Anyway. But yeah. All that to say that, yeah, anime has definitely changed. And I found myself kind of going more towards manga because manga still has, you know, especially now with the Korean manga, the webtoons and all that, some of the Chinese stuff where they're willing to go and be more original and try new things because there's money in that market that people are just kind of throwing at these creators, because right now we're in a market where this stuff just sells. And so you have a lot of these studios that are like, we need content. we're just gonna throw money at stuff until we get, you know, we hit another vein. You know, we're just gonna keep mining until we get something. And so yeah, that's another rabbit hole I've kind of fallen into is webtoons and stuff. I have found some genuinely good stuff where I'm just like, wow, this could actually be adapted to like a movie or TV show, and it would be genuinely like engrossing. Like a really good example of this is there is a webtoon called A Practical Guide to Evil, which sounds bad, but it's a story of a character who becomes the squire of a knight, and then through that, her own sense of like, what is justice? How do you accomplish that? What is revenge? How do you accomplish that? What are your goals? You know, how do you do these things? It's all, you know, all things she evaluates while having to see the world through the eyes of those who have power and how they choose to use it. And she changes throughout this while trying to stay true to herself. But also, you know, she's seeing more of who she really is because of it too. So it's a very fascinating like story, because there is no good guys. There's only just various degrees of, you know, villainy. It's a practical guide to evil, basically. You know, is doing the right thing with the wrong tools still the right thing? You know, it's the trolley problem. You know, kill one person or kill many people. You know, what are you willing to do? What is the least amount of evil you can commit to do the right thing? Right? That's those types of questions that people come up with. And those types of things keep stories interesting. Sometimes it's interesting to see a character always win, like One Punch Man, because One Punch Man is not really about One Punch Man. It's about all the characters around him who are struggling. If you got rid of those characters, it would be a very boring story. You know, because he one punches everything, but it's everything framed around him, all the struggles of those characters, all their insecurities and their doubts and their worries, and all the friendship and all the connections Saitama makes through them. That's what makes the story interesting. It's genius, truly. How do you make a story about a character who's basically invincible? Make everybody else more interesting. That's pretty much it. So yeah, and that is why I moved to manga, because initially I got drawn into anime because it was unlike Western animation, you know, where you had Bugs Bunny and Mickey Mouse. You know, here I'm watching boobs and ninja slicing people's heads off with gushes of blood everywhere, and I'm like, you know, my young brain is like, holy shit, this is so mature. No, it was not. It was just boobs and violence. But I had never seen that in an animated form before, and that's what made me realize that animation is just another way of telling a story. I stopped viewing it as cartoons are for kids, and I started realizing that it's not cartoons, it's animation. And animation can be whatever you want it to be. It can be the most beautiful thing you've ever seen. It could also be the goofiest thing you've ever seen. It can also be the scariest thing you've ever seen. You know, it could be many things. One of the greatest war movies ever made, and I will stand on this hill, I will die on this hill, one of the greatest war movies ever made is Grave of the Fireflies. It is a Studio Ghibli animated film about two children living in the fallout of the nuclear bombs that fell on Japan. And it is one of the most heartbreaking movies you will ever watch, simply because it is not about the war. I mean, it is. The war happened, right? And this is not a story about soldiers. This is a story about not even like your standard civilians, you know, like a politician or something. This is just about the kids who had to deal with this. You know, the real victims is just the next generation of people that have to struggle through the wreckage of what the previous generations did and somehow try and survive. It's a very, very poignant story. You know, so much so that even somebody like Roger Ebert, who famously did not look favorably upon animation at the time, changed his mind on that thing pretty quick after he saw Grave of the Fireflies. Gave it an amazing review. And it is, I think for a lot of people, that kind of watershed moment where it clicks in your brain. You're like, oh yeah, I see it now. This is not just something that only children can enjoy. This is something for anybody who, I guess, really wants a good depressing war film. But yeah, that's how it is. It is literally one of the greatest movies ever made, and it is animation, hand drawn. I can't imagine the skill and effort it took to make it. Truly, a lot of Ghibli stuff, I always wonder that, to be honest. I'm like, holy shit, like, you boys got nothing better to do with your time or something, I guess. You know, even nowadays, you know. But you look at something like Spirited Away or Howl's Moving Castle, that is incredible animation, and it's all hand drawn. You don't need AI for that shit. No AI. The only intelligence you need is human intelligence. Sorry. You're telling a human story. Tell it with humans. Anyway. I don't know. This entire stream was just an endless train of thought. So I hope you guys enjoyed the experience. Maybe some of your VOD watchers can skip through all the boring stuff. It was all boring. So just start at like you know, a minute in, and then just like zip to about 2 minutes and 12 seconds, and you should be good. Yeah, you'll skip all the boring stuff. 2 hours and 12 minutes. Sorry. Anyway, I promised to stream. Stream accomplished. I think we're good. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I'm good. All right. So let me think here. Oh yeah. I'm fucking tired. It's almost 6 in the morning. I got home late from work. Again, second day in a row. I will probably be late home for work tomorrow as well. It's gonna be a long day again. I'm gonna wrap up the stream for now, because honestly, like I said, it's been streaming for a little over 2 hours. I have just kind of talked non-stop about dumb shit and just morphed from one conversation to another. I don't even remember what I was really talking about with all this stuff. I just kept going. So I hope it was interesting for you. So going back to the things I was originally talking about, we'll just kind of wrap everything up. So expect some tweaks and changes to the stream in the next couple coming weeks. There might be some large changes. I'm not quite sure, but nothing too crazy. It'll still be the same old little me you know and love. In terms of stream schedules and everything like that, don't expect consistency right now. I'm sorry. It's just, you know, every single time I plan a comeback, something has to fucking happen. So it's just, I'm just cursed at this point, I think. Truly. I really do think that. So yeah, but we're gonna try and trudge through, even if it's nonsense streams like this where I'm just on and talking. Plenty of other people seem to make a living through just chatting, so maybe I'll take up the mantle on that one. What we're going to do the next time we stream, though, is we are gonna play a game. But the problem is that I'm kind of stun locked on it. I don't know what I want to do. Horror is fun, but I feel like if I do horror all the time, I'm gonna hate it. So I have a few games that I'm thinking about right now. It'll be a genre shift for sure. We will swing back to horror. We always will. Horror is going to be a staple on the stream no matter what. But I don't want to be just a horror streamer. I want to be a variety streamer. I want to be able to play whatever the fuck I want. But you have to earn that. It takes time. So it's the hard part about, you know, starting as a variety streamer is hard. I picked hard mode basically for this. I should know better, right? But yeah, so yeah, I have a few games in mind, and I will pick one. And when I'm on the stream next, which if it's not tomorrow night, probably the night after, we'll see how things go. The problem ultimately is not only am I getting off late at work and being tired and everything, and just kind of hitting that fuck it mode. With my teeth, the more I talk, the more that my jaw hurts because I'm using my jaw muscles and everything, and the more my teeth hurt as a result. So like right now, I'm feeling it. I've been talking nonstop for 2 hours, and yeah, like I can feel how tired my jaw is, and I can feel how like the nerves from the bad teeth are just starting to get aggravated. So we're gonna call it quits, take it easy. And yeah, and that's right now, the teeth is the big thing affecting my desire to stream. Because yeah, it just hurts sometimes, and there's nothing I can do. There's no painkillers I can take that'll make it stop. It's that kind of pain where I can numb it, I can dull it. Oftentimes, as long as I'm not eating or talking much, I don't feel it. But the moment I start eating or talking or anything with the jaw, it's like when somebody plucks a wire and it vibrates and it stays. You'll hear the dong for a while. That's what my nerves in my mouth are doing with my teeth. And because I can't afford to just get it all taken care of, because unfortunately I live in America where everything is freaking expensive. And dentists are incredibly expensive. Yeah, it's just gonna have to take a bit so I can save up some money and actually go. So it's gonna be like this for a bit, at least another month, probably two. Which sucks, but that's life, right? I'm also going to be revamping my throne. I'm going to put a bunch of stuff on there. It's going to be nonsense shit. It'll all be stuff that I either just put on there for fun, or I'll use it for the stream. There'd be a lot of tech stuff, video games. I want to be able to stream more retro games, but I have a CRT. Actually, I have a bunch of them. I have retro game consoles. So I'm going to put a bunch of like flashcards and EverDrives and stuff on there if you guys are interested. Feel free to kind of pitch in. So because it'd be nice to actually stream with like real hardware and stuff. I know you can emulate, but it is kind of nice just firing up the old Super Nintendo and playing some Zelda or something. So it'd be kind of cool to have that set up as like a stream thing. But yeah, like I said, nothing anybody has to buy. It's more of a nice to have, thank you very much type of thing. As far as setting up like donations and stuff, I'm not really sure how to do that anonymously. In order to use SEPay, you have to anonymously, you have to have over 100 followers on your Twitch, which I'm close, but not quite there yet. So probably just gonna keep working on that goal for now. Otherwise, you'd have to set up like a business LLC, and that requires money I don't have. So taking donations right now, kind of, it's hard. And also just asking people for money all the time is always a weird thing for me. Like, I know you go into this business to be kind of asking for money to pay for things, but it's weird, you know? So especially when you're just starting out, you know, it's like, hey, I'm new, give me money. Kind of, you got to give people a reason to want to give you money, right? So maybe I'm doing this whole begging thing wrong. I don't know. But yeah, it's just kind of how it is. So, you know, now that I'm in the second half of the year, you know, time for some changes, I think, hopefully in a good way. So, oh shit. Well, I'm gonna have to pick that up later. I dropped my bottle cap. I'm gonna wrap up the stream. Hope you guys have had a wonderful day, morning, evening, wherever you are. And yeah, change sucks, but in the end, change is generally a good thing. So here's to change. Woo! And yeah, here's to you, the viewer. Hope you are. I'm holding my bottle in the air, and I'm realizing that my avatar does not show that. So here, we'll make this official. I'm gonna stare right. Where's the camera? No. Yeah. Here. All right. There we go. I'm gonna stare exactly at this spot, not this spot, not that spot, exactly this spot, because apparently that's how I calibrated it. You, yeah, you're awesome. I hope you have a wonderful day, morning, or evening, wherever you are, because you're awesome. And I love you. Because, you know, how often do you have people tell you that they love you? You should hear that more often, right? And love yourself. There's only one of you. So, all right. I'm out. You guys take care. And I will see you all. Hit the button here on the next one. Bye-bye.